All right, I'm happy to welcome you to HDFS 524 Family Studies. So first I'm going to go over basic information and policies, and then we'll get more into assignment details. So I'm Dr. Ashley Harvey. I'm going to be your instructor in this online class. My email, ashley.harvey@colostate.edu, is the best way to contact me, but you could also email me through Canvas email. Either way, they both show up in my regular email inbox. I will usually email you directly to your CSU email, not through Canvas. I have office hours each week, and those are available on a link on our Canvas course homepage, and you can see what they are and sign up for a time, and we can talk over the phone or on Microsoft Teams or over Zoom. And I'm always happy to talk with you, not only about details about the class or how to improve your grade, but also if you want just guidance on your future career, you want to do some brainstorming, I'm happy to support you in that as well. Okay, so a little bit more about me. I grew up in Florida, in Gainesville, Florida, go Gators, but then I betrayed my family and went to Florida State University for a bachelor's degree in psychology. I then followed my boyfriend, who's now my husband, out here to Colorado, worked for a little while, and then began a master's degree in our HDFS department at Colorado State University, specializing in marriage and family therapy. Then I worked for a few years at the CSU Veterinary Teaching Hospital as a grief counselor and educator before going on to Purdue to earn a doctoral degree in the same type of department, Human Development and Family Studies, with a specialization again on marriage and family therapy. I moved back here in 2005 and have been teaching at CSU ever since. I have 2 kids, one in high school, one in college. And one interesting fact about my family of origin is that we are all 4 Dr. Harveys, because my brother finally finished it out with a Doctor of Ministry a few years ago. Okay, so what you can expect from this course, it's an asynchronous online course, which means we won't have any synchronous meetings, and all assignments are open now. There aren't any exams in this class, so theoretically you could complete all the class in a week if you wanted to. So you can work in advance of deadlines if you'd like. Okay, so in terms of my communications with you, I'm generally going to use the Canvas, and if I'm sending in, information to the whole class, I'm going to use the Canvas announcement function that forwards to your CSU email. So make sure that you've got your notifications set up so that you're receiving that in your CSU email, or you've got that set to forward to an email that you prefer. I'm going to send a weekly announcement each Monday. And again, when I'm emailing you, I'm most likely to use your Canvas, your CSU email, or reply to you through your Canvas email. And I always encourage you, if you've got a question like, what's the requirement for this, or just do me a favor and check the syllabus or the assignment Dropbox or the announcement first, for 5 minutes, just to see if you can find the answer, and then if you can't, feel free to shoot off an email. So these resources are all linked up on Canvas, and I encourage you to check them out, especially if you're not familiar with some of them. We will be working with our college's librarian. She's got a great presentation for us for finding research-based sources for the assignments in this class. You can also get technical and research help through the library help desk. If you have anything where you might need accommodations, mental or cognitive or physical disabilities, please reach out to the Student Disability Center so that you can get a letter of accommodation that then I can help kind of break the rules in terms of deadlines for you. Similarly is student case management. So if you don't have something that meets the requirement for Student Disability Center, basically a diagnosis of something, but you've got something going on that's impeding your academics, then in order to give extensions or kind of break the rules for you, I do require documentation from student case management. So you can reach out to them, and there's information in the syllabus and under our late policies button on the Canvas homepage that tells you how to do that so that you can get some kind of confidential documentation so that we can give you some more latitude or considerations in the class. There's also less well known is the religious accommodations. So if something is falling on, a due date is falling on a holiday, you could contact me about having a little extra time. You could fill out the religious accommodations form, actually, is what you do, and then they contact me. Just a heads up that CSU, due to Title IX reporting requirements, if you were to disclose any form of past kind of sexual abuse or current kind of relationship, romantic relationship abuse or trauma, then that's something that I would need to report to CSU so that they can make sure that you know what your reporting options are and what resources are available to you. And so just keep that in mind, because lots of people have that in their history, and if you kind of disclose that in, for example, an online discussion post or in an office hours meeting with me, that's a next step that I would need to take. And then I'll talk a little bit more about plagiarism when we get closer and how that relates to academic integrity and misconduct. Okay, so plagiarism. I do file regular reports with the Academic Integrity Program, and I would rather not do that. So here's the reasons why I end up filing a report. You know, if there is some sort of sample resource that students are kind of overusing in terms of ideas or wording, that's you know, evidence of plagiarism. If they're using it similarly in other students' paper, even if they're putting the other students' paper in their own words, but they're just kind of using the basic ideas and format or portions of another student's paper, and of course they're not citing that other student's paper, they're not giving credit for that, that's also considered plagiarism. If students are copying sentences from a source mostly word for word without quotation marks, even if they're citing, that's plagiarism. And of course, if they're paraphrasing ideas from any source and they're not citing, that's considered plagiarism. So we have Turnitin, and you should be able to check your score. Sometimes it takes me a little while how to figure out how to do that, but from the student perspective, but you should be able to submit, check your score, look over any issues, fix them, and resubmit. And we also are going to have an APA and plagiarism quiz, which will help make this more clear and help you avoid, you know, getting into trouble with plagiarism. And then if that comes up, then I will file a report. Usually that's just for documentation only. The Office of Student Conduct doesn't do anything unless there's been more than one report filed. Okay, a little bit more about the grading scale. There's actually no set grading scale at CSU, so every faculty member just makes theirs up, for better or for worse. And so here's mine. And I do want to just point out that if you earn greater than 100%, I will change your grade to an A+. It doesn't change your GPA, but it does show up on your transcript. Okay, so a little bit more about my late policies and extensions. These are all detailed on the home page of the Canvas course under the late policies button. But basically all assignments can be submitted late with a 5% deduction per day with no end date. However, there is a kind of hard stop as we get near the end of the semester where the final Sunday of the last week of class is the last day to submit assignments. And that's week 8 if you're in an 8-week class and week 15 if you're in a 16-week class. If you want late penalties waived, then you need to have documentation from one of these 4 places: Student Case Management, Student Disability Center, which we've already talked about, Religious Accommodations, which we've talked about, and then the Women and Gender Advocacy Center also will send documentation around specific issues, and that could be another source as well. So with regard to diversity and equity inclusion, I'm still learning, you're still learning. If you feel like a mistake is made where someone says something in class, whether it's me or another student, and it's not appropriately addressed, I hope that you'll email me, come to office hours. If for some reason you're not comfortable coming to me, you can always contact the HDFS department head, and her information is in the syllabus, or there is also a CSU bias reporting form linked up in the syllabus. So in this class, we'll be following the CSU principles of community, inclusion, integrity, respect, service, and social justice. I'm going to be holding myself to these principles, and I'll be holding you to those as well. Again, if you feel like we're missing the mark on any of them, please reach out and let me know. Okay, so let me orient you a little bit more to the HDFS 524 course specifically. All right, so this is a required course in 4 different programs of study. So it's for our PhD students in applied developmental science, for our master's students in the marriage and family therapy specialization, for our master's students in the prevention science specialization, and then in the master's of prevention science practice program. And the first 3 degree programs are all RI resident instruction or on-campus programs, and then the fourth one, Masters of Prevention Science Practice, is an online degree program. Okay, so then let me just explain HDFS and kind of its core topic areas and how that relates to other disciplines. So in HDFS, we have courses and faculty who specialize in kind of one of these 4 sub areas. People who and sometimes they specialize in 2 of those areas, right? But either a focus on some part of the lifespan, so lifespan, whether that's children, adolescents, or older adults, or they're more focused on prevention science, or they're more focused on family studies. We don't have too many of our faculty focused specifically in the family studies realm, or focused on marriage and family therapy, which we have quite a few of on campus. And then when you think about how these sub areas kind of overlap with other disciplines in an academic way, you know, lifespan development, sometimes those faculty have degrees in psychology or have more commonalities with faculty in psychology. Those faculty who focus in prevention science in HDFS maybe also participate in the public health department and programs. Those who kind of identify as more family studies often relate to sociologists who specialize on the sociology of the family. Family studies, this class is family studies, and it is often more of a sociology of the family type of class. And then lastly, the marriage and family therapy folks in HDFS have lots of overlap with other types of counseling, whether that's you know, counseling in School of Education departments, counseling in social work, counseling in psychology. So that kind of orients you a little bit to HDFS in general, and then where this class as a family studies class kind of fits in the bigger picture in terms of your curriculum. In terms of family studies, the field of family studies, we have a couple of different we have a professional organization which has a number of things associated with it. So if you identify more as family studies than and the kind of topics that we're going to discuss in this class, then you might become a member, and students can become members of the National Council on Family Relations, which puts out 3 journals, the Journal of Marriage and Family, the Journal of Family Theory and Review, and Family Relations. And many of our readings for this class, as we're going to see, are drawn from the Journal of Marriage and Family Decade Review, and I'll say a little bit more about that. In addition, NCFR also supports the CFLE certification, Certified Family Life Educator, and so some of you may already have that or may want to pursue that certification. So this class is a combination of common family theories and also common family studies content areas. So it's both theory and content. Here's the list of family theories that we're going to be covering throughout the class. And then here's the list of content areas that we'll be addressing throughout the class. These would be considered kind of the key domains in the field of family studies. Certainly they take into account people of varying ages, but they don't necessarily focus in on specific parts of the lifespan. Certainly they keep in mind prevention and intervention, but that's not always the focus of the research. Similarly, like they might mention therapeutic interventions, but certainly not kind of the focus. Okay, so we're using two primary sources for our textbook in this class. The first one is a family theory textbook, and so you can get either the current edition or the edition before that. Check the syllabus for how best to acquire this. That changes over time. Sometimes we are able to get it for free through Course Reserve. Sometimes it needs to be purchased as an e-text, or you could opt to get a hard copy of it, especially of an older edition, for fairly cheap online. And then we will be also using a number of articles from the 2020 Decade Review for the Journal of Marriage and Family, and those are all free. You can find them online, and we've also put the PDF files right into the Canvas course as well as in Course Reserve. Okay, so let's get a little bit more into the assignments. And again, there's lots of details about the assignments posted on Canvas, so this is just to orient you.
Okay, so I'll go over all of these assignments in more detail. The good and bad news about this class is that there's a lot of assignments. So the good news is that nothing's going to make or break you. There's lots of grace in this class, and as you're going to see, we drop some assignments. On the other hand, though, there's a lot to do. I have taught this class for a lot of years on campus, and so when I translated it online, I tried to make it an equivalent amount of work. So it's really not easier or less time because it's an online class, or even if it's an 8-week class, for example. So that means that you need to be prepared, for a decent amount of effort. So we have two types of class participation assignments, content area reflections and theory discussions. And these are designed to just kind of put some points to doing the readings and listening to the lectures and then beginning to translate that into your own professional lives. So the content area reflections, we generally have one per module, and near the end of the course we're going to have two per module, which means, for example, in an 8-week class you might have 4 due in 1 week. So just kind of have that in mind. I'm anticipating fairly short. After you've done the reading and listen to the lecture, I'd like you to kind of quickly pull out 3 things that you would like to teach somebody else. And so you do have to use all required sources. So you might pull one thing from the lecture and one thing from a reading and then one thing from another reading, for example. And this is something that you would translate and teach somebody else. If you're a therapist, it could be a client. If you're hoping to be a policymaker, it could be something that you would teach, potential other people, creating policy. It could be something you would teach a parent. It could be something you teach, a current family member or your romantic partner. So I just basically want you to summarize what it is that you gained from the source, and then I want you to use your lay language, right, to translate that and to teach it to somebody else. Theory discussions, somewhat similar. These happen in the middle of the class. Again, you'll be required to use any required readings and lectures. Fairly short, hoping you're not having to spend too much time on this. And what I'd like you to do is pick 3 theoretical concepts or assumptions and then translate that to your area of interest, whether that's clinical or research or prevention programming. And so then this will be a discussion, content area reflections only I see, but theory discussions the whole class will see. And so you'll post that, and then you'll also post a follow-up reply to a classmate, really helping them think theoretically about their own areas of interest. Okay, so we have 2 presentations in this class. The first one is the theory article presentation, and this could be solo if we don't have too many people in the class, or often in dyads if the class is more full, potentially sometimes triads if we're really full. And the due date for this varies. You sign up in Module 1, which I'll say more about, for one of the theories that you're going to give a theory article presentation on. And then those presentations happen in the middle of the class, modules 4 through 11, unless we're in a short 8-week class, and then that's like modules 6 through 11. And then we also have a translational presentation, and that again can be solo or dyad, that doesn't depend on class size. It's really up to your personal preference, and there's a single due date for that in module 13, and then there's a discussion that goes with it, which I'll say more about. So here's the basic format for how you're going to build and share your presentations on Canvas. So first you're going to build the PowerPoint, and then you're going to record yourself with a video delivering the presentation. And there's a couple of different ways to do this, and we've described those on Canvas. Then you're going to turn your presentation into a video and upload your video to a YouTube channel. So for this class, you are going to have a YouTube channel. We've given instructions on how to do it. And so then in the corresponding discussion for your presentation, you're going to just post a YouTube link. That way we don't have these huge files that people can't upload to Canvas. And then for grading purposes, you're going to upload just your PowerPoint without all of the video in it to the Canvas Dropbox.
All right, so let's talk more about the theory article presentation. So for this, you'll be working either on your own or with a classmate to present on an article that uses one of the theories that we're studying to guide its research. And so you'll be finding basically an empirical article that uses a specific theory. As preparation for this, I asked you to find 3 possible empirical articles that use the theory, and then I'll help you select the one that I think would be the best fit for this class. Then you'll create a PowerPoint presentation where you give an overview of the study, you know, what they were focused in on, and then how they used the theory, and then your critical evaluation of how well they used the theory. You're going to record yourself giving this presentation, upload it to YouTube, and then post a link in Canvas prior to the theory module so that the rest of the class can view it when they're studying the theory and incorporate it into their theory discussion. So for the theory article presentation, we have a sign up that's actually due in the very first module of this class. So you're going to go to People on the left sidebar in Canvas in the Groups tab, and then you're going to sign up for one of the 8 theories that we study that correspond to a module, modules 4 through 11 in this class. For the article submissions, because we submit those 3 articles early that I help you pick from, we actually have to submit those 2 to 3 weeks, depending upon the length of our semester, prior to when we hit that theory in the class. So you'll be, if you choose, for example, the theory in module 4 or 5, you'll be submitting 3 articles next module, in module 2. So things will be kind of happening pretty fast. And then that gives me time to give you feedback, and then you time to do the presentation and get it posted before we get to the theory module. So for more information and to make things more clear, it's always just a good idea to look at the course schedule. Then you can see the 8 theories that we're covering in modules 4 through 11, and then you can see how they correspond to the sign up under People on Canvas. Okay, for the translational presentation, this is a 15 to 20 minute presentation that matches one of those module content areas that we went over, like immigration or divorce or family health, work and family, and you're basically pretending that you're giving a translational or applied presentation in a community setting. It could be a school, it could be a business, it could be just open to the community, it could be any age group that you prefer. So people have done things on a couples workshop, they have done an HR presentation, they have, trying to think other examples, given a presentation to parents in a school or teachers in a school. And so for this, you're going to use the corresponding content reading, and then you're going to also find 2 research-based sources. You're going to record yourself doing it again, upload it to YouTube, and post a link on Canvas. And then you're going to also post it in the Canvas translational discussion, and then we're going to have a discussion about the translational presentations. And these are all due at one time, not by module. So they're all due right now, I think, in module 13. But these are supposed to be really applied. You won't be talking to us as academics. You'll be talking to us kind of as if we are, parents or teachers. And so you're going to want to be acknowledging what we already know, what we've already experienced. You're going to be using language that we can understand. You're going to be wanting to be really compassionate to us. We may not have been the best romantic partner or the best parent. And so you want to be talking about difficult things in compassionate ways. Okay, so now we're on to the research paper. Basically, again, it's broken down into 3 components: the literature research, the brief literature review, and the final paper. Basically, the purpose of the whole assignment is to choose a family studies content area, like one that we study or some subtopic within that, and then apply 2 of our family theories. So it's just teaching you to think kind of theoretically about an area that you're interested in or that maybe you specialize in. We have a lot of useful library handout and video to guide you in how to find sources. And then we also have that APA and plagiarism quiz to help you kind of brush up on your APA and make sure that you're not going to unintentionally plagiarize. Okay, so I already kind of had mentioned the APA and plagiarism quiz. It's based on an HDFS APA PowerPoint that we've worked as a unit to create so that we're being consistent across HDFS in what APA components that we are requiring. So that's available to you, and I encourage you to take a look at it. And basically, you're allowed 3 attempts, and the system's going to record your highest score. There are about 45 possible questions in the bank, and you get 20 questions for each attempt. So if you really want to brush up on your APA and anti-plagiarism, you could take the test multiple times just so that you could get all of the questions. All right, so the literature search is due in Module 5. It's a fairly straightforward assignment. You're going to create a reference page that's APA formatted with 12 articles. A minimum of 10 of those are going to be empirical, and we will explain kind of what that means, or I'll say even now, that means basically where they're analyzing data. So it could be qualitative or quantitative, so it doesn't have to just be statistics. It could be interviews, for example, but an empirical article should have a methods, results, and discussion sections. That tells you that it's not just a review article. And then we ask, of course, that you're making sure across all your articles that you've got, diverse populations. And most of the things that are published in the family studies field these days do incorporate diverse populations. They're not all just kind of, white 2-parent families. You're going to pick the 5 abstracts that you think of those 12 articles that are the most relevant to your topic or interest area, and you're going to paste those in there, and then you're just going to have a 1 to 2 paragraph synopsis of your topic, kind of explaining what you want to study. So then the brief literature review is due in Module 9, and so once you've gotten feedback on your literature search, then you'll go on to the brief literature review. Basically here you're just getting into this content that you're interested in, and you're writing a 4 to 5 page paper with a minimum of 5 of those articles that you found in the literature search within the last 10 years. And of those 5, 3 of them have to be empirical. And you're going to avoid just writing Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, Article 5. You're going to try to basically synthesize across these articles by theme or subtopic. You're also going to analyze their use of theory, if any, and then begin to develop some preliminary research questions. For the final paper in Module 16, you can self-plagiarize. Like anything that you wrote for the brief literature review, you can just chunk it right into the final paper. So those 4 to 5 pages, with maybe some revisions or feedback from me. And then you're going to basically add in a theory, more about theory. So you're going to describe and summarize 2 of the theories that we studied in our class that you think are most relevant to this topic, and then you're going to apply them to this topic and discuss how they relate, and then you're going to use kind of that theoretical lens to kind of revise your research questions and hypotheses.
So one of the ways that I also give grace in this class is just offering a few extra credit assignments that can just help, if you lose some points on something, it kind of can reduce your stress. So make sure you take advantage of these. Our first one is right away in Module 1. It's the extra credit syllabus quiz, where you can earn up to 2-ish points. You can take the quiz several times to maximize your score. And then we have a mid-semester evaluation and a final evaluation where you just get the points for completing the survey, and it's anonymous no matter what your response is. And then you can also submit a screenshot showing that you did the standard course survey and received 2 points for that at the end.
Okay, so that is the end of the policies, the information about the class, and the information about the assignments. I know it's a lot to take in. The beginning of any class, especially a grad class, can feel fairly overwhelming, and you're going to wonder how you're going to get all this done, but I promise you, you will. My goal is to have everything be very clear for you on Canvas. And so if you get into kind of looking at assignment requirements or course requirements and you're confused, or you can't find something, please let me know, because maybe you're not the only one and I could make it clearer for everyone. All right, look forward to sharing this class with you.